Okay, so here is the third feature, which is a subscription checker that I added. And if the user subscription date is less than today's date, that means that they are due to pay their subscription, and it will kick off to a what is it? It'll kick off to a Stripe API payment process. So just to show you, we've got our investor in our database, and we've got the sub date as 2024-03-20, and it was 2024-03-20 when we created the investor. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go here, and we're going to kick off our local host. Now that that date is different, it should not let us log in. Nope. It says your subscription is expired. Please make a payment by clicking the Pay Sub button below. Click that. Takes us over here. We put in our information. We're going to use the fake card that Stripe gave us. And we can do 0427. And just to show you that if we get to this process here and we decide, oh, well, we don't want to do that, we can close out of it. And it doesn't update anything. So now what we can do is we can rerun. And once when we log in again, it should take us back, tell us their subscription is expired, we need to pay for it. So let's go ahead and do that this time. $4.27, 0427, 1, 2, 3. Zip code, and we don't want to save, so we'll hit that. We're good to pay. We need to adjust the button a little bit so it's more readable, but it says your payment succeeded, your confirmation number is, and this is the checkout ID number, session checkout ID number, and it says you may now log into your account, and this would be log into your account. So when you go back now, whenever it comes to this page, it's got that checkout session ID and it's hidden, but you click on this, and now when it checks as it goes into the home page, it checks for that checkout session ID, and as you can see, the checkout session ID is present. So what it will do is now it will take us to our page where we can do all the other stuff we did before. Create a watch list. We can add to our watch list. Adds to the watch list. We can take away from the watch lists. We can update the prices. Probably not going to see anything updated because, yeah. So what we'll do, we'll take that away. And we're cascading to, so say for instance we wanted to add Amazon and that. And we go ahead and those show up. Now if we just delete this watch list, it deletes the stocks as well. And then we can just go and we can log out. So that is our feature. Now take a look at the code. We have, as I already showed you, we have the home page. When it's a post request, it gets to this point where it checks to see if there's a session ID, and then it sets the new sub pay date to date today plus time delta days 30, so 30 days from now. And then it runs the investor DAO, data access object implementer, that updates the investor sub date with the new sub pay date, and the session pulls the information about who the investor is. And when we go to our login, checks right here if sub is due. It kicks off the that payment. But as you can see, what we're doing is we're setting the date today. The sub date would be investor 20, which is part of this, the tuple, and then checks to see if the sub date is less than today. If so, it returns false, or returns true. And if it doesn't return true, it returns false. And then if there's no investors, it returns none. So we go back here, look at our other routes. Create checkout session. This is part of Stripe. Creates the checkout session, sets the domain URL to our local host port 5000, and gets the Stripe API key. Sets a checkout session equal to these parameters. Our price is our object that we set up in Stripe. JSONifies that, and then the next thing we have is our success route. This basically means that, you know, it's that one page that says the payment was successful. Checks for the checkout session ID so that way it can move it forward within the website as it goes through. And the canceled renders the canceled HTML if they cancel it. But as I said, it renders the success.html. Checkout session. And then you click that button in the success. Look at that template. Those are our tests. Look at our success template. We have our hidden input, which is our checkout session ID. And then we have a submit button that returns to login. And the action is to go to the URL for sign in as a post. So we go back to sign in right here as a post request. Gets the checkout session ID from that hidden field. If checkout session ID, it renders the template sign-in page with the checkout session ID as a argument, as a parameter. And we go to sign-in page. Sign-in page is our the sign-in page is right here, and it's got our form fields. Then we get to button 4, which is our submit, which is the value of sign in, and it takes us to URL for homepage as a post request, and that takes us back to our landing page when we log in, but this time it's a post, so it checks for the checkout session ID, and if so, it sets the new sub pay date. So 30 days from now, it will kick this off again. So yeah, that's my application. Hope you enjoyed.